The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Napick and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Napick.
Welcome to Real Estate Matters. This is not Bill Napick. This is John Bramblett, along with our producer, Andrew Green. We're pitch hitting today for Bill. Bill will be back with the show next week. But we're here to celebrate show 380. That's fantastic. 380 editions of Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. If you'd care to listen to any of the back issues of the show, and we encourage you to do so, visit stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. From time to time, we do have a concept show on Real Estate Matters. If you recall, recently we were privileged to have Ted C. Jones, the chief economist for Stewart Title, on. A few weeks prior to that, Bill hosted a show where we discussed negotiation and negotiation tactics. And this week we're going to do the same thing. We've got a theme show, and our theme is the idea of move, learn, and care. That those three elements combined can be the catalyst for a very successful life. So to kick off the show and talk a little bit about this concept of move, learn, and care, we're privileged to have the president of Stewart Insurance, Tom Carpentier, with us. Welcome to Real Estate Matters, Tom.
John, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Love having you as our first guest of the day. Can you give us a kind of a feel of what the genesis is behind this thought of move, learn, and care?
Well, you know, with Stewart Insurance, we invest a lot of time and energy into developing our people. We want our people to have, successful careers where they're, fulfilled in working with us. And so with that, we kind of step back and oftentimes look and learn what successful people do, right? And we try to kind of take some of those nuggets of information and coach our folks and talk to them about, different approaches to kind of, again, really have a successful, fulfilling career and life. And, through our observation and learning, we looked at successful people and certain things stood out, but backing up from there, the first thing we know is that success for everyone is a little different, right? But having said that, we do notice that success for a lot of people, especially in business, means they're executing a plan. They are enjoying the journey and making a difference. So, so what are some key traits that people seem to have if they're kind of along that journey, if you will? And we oftentimes see people that they're moving. And for us, that means they're engaged in some form of physical activity. It can be getting up in the morning and taking a walk at a very minimum. They're constantly involved in deliberate learning. They're seeking perspectives other than things through their own lens and through their own experiences. And one of the most important things is that they're finding ways to give back, right? So that's our care component of all this. So we thought it would be kind of cool just to bring this forward as a concept for the show and visit with some people within real estate and within the professional arena and just see how they approach their careers and their lives and how they incorporate the move, learn, and care traits.
So I know we're going to have we're blessed to have some experts in each of those areas. Just talk about move, learn, and care. But let's maybe make it a bit personal. Mm-hmm. I know that those three elements are critical in your life and in your regular activities. How is incorporating move, learn, and care affected you and your family?
Well, first and foremost, I am active. I try to get some physical activity in my life every single day, whether it's getting up in the morning. I have a group of guys that we get up early in the morning and ride bikes before the sun comes up. pretty regularly. So, I think about the move aspect of you got to take care of yourself to be productive, but also if you're going to want to make a difference and do good things for people or help them, you got to take care of yourself. I often use the example, when you get on a plane and they're going over the safety features, the flight attendant will often, when they're going over the oxygen mask rules, they're saying, please put the mask on yourself before you assist others, right? And I kind of look at it from that perspective. We've got to take care of our bodies in order for our minds to follow. Learning, it's something that is habitual for me. I try to continually step back and try to view things through other people's lenses, and the way to do that is to constantly learn. And whether it's learning about history, because that's the rearview mirror that gives you perspective on how to maybe make a difference on a go-forward basis. And certainly studying, and I'm a student of leaders within business, because I believe in leading this company, again, in creating an environment where people can thrive and be on a growth trajectory that's going to make a difference for them in their lives and their families' lives. So just understanding how to lead people and learning from the best in the world is important. So that learning aspect, and then care. I believe that at the end of the day, this world will continue to, as great as it is, be even better if we all take the obligation or the accountability to give back and try to create pathways for people that maybe don't have the opportunity or need some assistance. So that's just kind of philosophical for me, and kind of how I approach things.
We're visiting with Tom Carpentier, the president of Stewart Insurance, and Tom's kind of providing us some context of our theme for Real Estate Matters today, this idea of move, learn, and care. So we talked about, kind of what each one of those means, and you shared with us how that's important in your life. Talk to us a bit about how that's affected how you lead and your management team leads Stewart Insurance.
Yeah, well, for me, just being active and keeping my body in shape and able to withstand the challenges and stresses of running a business and having a young family and all of that is certainly key. I get up very early and I get my rest, but I think it's at the end of the day, being active and moving, it certainly keeps the mind strong. From a learn perspective, again, it's really just incorporating and teaching folks and coaching folks with our organization that success is hard work, but you have to put the time in. And if you want to become, as we call it, a subject matter expert in our particular area, supporting the real estate marketplace through insurance, you've got to continually study and understand the business, the insurance business, but also the markets that we support. So we one of our guiding principles, we have 5 of them. One of the key ones of the 5 is that you've got to engage and evolve through life learning. So, and then we have we as a group continually get out and find ways to support the community, because as we grow and we're successful, we want to contribute and make a difference in the community. So we're always looking for ways to support, whether that's going to the Houston Food Bank and supporting there, or supporting other charitable organizations. And I look forward to, as we grow and continue to succeed, that we'll continue to do that and find even greater ways to give back.
Well, that's been one of the things that's been enjoyable about me being part of the team is beyond what we do from a group aspect, you encourage all of the associates that are part of Stewart Insurance to move, to learn, and to care. And I've been able to, like you, make that movement a regular part of my my weekly activity. We're all always sharing books amongst the team, and that's a great aspect. And at some point, I think we'll just have a Real Estate Matters just talking about books that we've read recently. And then the caring aspect, and there's some things that I've done personally that have been fulfilling to me, and I know that our guest today is going to be helpful on that. Before we move to the specifics about move, learn, and care, let's take a moment to let the audience know a bit about Stewart Insurance and what's going on in our world and how our listeners can benefit from a relationship with Stewart Insurance.
Yeah, we're really excited. We're growing. We're hiring, looking to bring new members of the team in and give them an opportunity to make a difference. And our organization, we support the real estate marketplace. So we are looking to be, the most admired insurance resource for real estate. And to do that, we want to do things right, and we want to build insurance plans that makes most sense for the folks in real estate. We're not trying to be all things to all people. We're trying to be the best at supporting real estate professionals for their insurance needs. And we have a group of folks that are passionate about it, that really take the time to plan out and help plan out our success. But more than anything, it's an opportunity for all of us to grow a business and really create that fulfilling career.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you or a member of the team, what's the best way they can go about that?
Sure, they could email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com or call us at any time at 866-798-2827. And
I know that our marketing lead, Brittany Tackard, has done a fantastic job on building and updating our website. They can also visit us at stewartinsurance.com.
Absolutely.
It's a great website. So I would be remiss and not be doing Bill's job if I didn't ask you to give me the phone number one more time.
That's right. In the spirit of Bill, 866-798-2827.
You're listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm John Bramblett, your host today from Stewart Insurance, and we've been visiting with Tom Carpentier, learning a bit about this idea of move, learn, and care. And now we're going to move here. In the next segment, we're going to visit with an expert on movement and go from there. So you've been listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Welcome back to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, John Bramblett with Stewart Insurance, and today we're having a special show talking about the concept of move, learn, and care. We recently visited with Stewart Insurance's president, Tom Carpentier, about the concept of move, learn, and care, but now we want to get into the nuts and bolts of each of those thoughts. And our first guest on this special edition of Real Estate Matters is Scotty Lindsay. And Scotty is a health and fitness specialist with the Four Oaks Place Fitness Center in Houston, Texas. And Scotty's been kind enough to join us today. So welcome to Real Estate Matters.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We're so pleased that you're here. And I wanted to really delve into this idea of movement and why that's so important in every day. So in your career, I know you've seen a correlation between healthy, happy, and successful individuals and how that consistent physical activity or physical regimen has an impact on that. Could you elaborate a bit more on how those two come together to make or help people with live a successful and fulfilling life?
Well, it boils down to health. I mean, I tell people all the time is that it boils down to your health. I mean, you can't have health without wealth. So, long story short is that I try to tell people to actually focus more on their health. I mean, you'll have a more productive day. I think a lot of people neglect their health because they're focused so much on their wealth. A man would gladly work his entire life trying to get wealth, would gladly pay it all back trying to get health. So if we can actually reiterate as far as how important the health aspect is as far as like everyday living, I think we'll have a better environment in our society. But I think it takes people like myself to basically instill those qualities and attributes in people at an early age. I mean, it's never too late. You got to think about certain people. I mean, certain people work 12 to 15 hours a day, in an actual cubicle in a seat. So you got to think about their posture. Got to think about how their eating habits as well. So we have to constantly stay on these particular people as far as like, let's find some healthier habits as far as what you can actually consume throughout the day. How often should you be getting out of your seat and as far as walking around your office? Because like you say, you see so many people with protracted shoulders, tight hip flexors. So my job is to actually say, hey, Tom, get out of your seat and let's walk for like 30 minutes. So it's very, very important that you reiterate that with Tom daily as far as getting up, moving, making sure Tom is eating 3 or 4 meals a day, because we can actually get into that mode where we just eating 2 meals a day. So our body goes in what? Starvation. So we wonder why we don't lose any weight. It's because our body's in starvation and our metabolism is moving pretty slow now. So our body holds on to everything that we're consuming. So our job as fitness professionals like myself is to actually constantly keep instilling that in people that have no clue and just oblivious to as far as how important health actually is.
So I'm not in a queue, but I'm in an office,
Okay.
and I'm on the phone all day long.
Okay.
I'm talking to clients, prospective clients. I'm working on building up the Real Estate Matters radio show, finding guests, going out and scheduling times to promote Stewart Insurance. So I spend a lot of time, like a lot of us, on the computer and on the phone. What are some things that I can do as an individual, or our listeners can do to maybe negate some of the negative effects of that?
Well, just getting up moving. I mean, not too many people have a lot of time. So just stand up in your desk. I mean, stretch breaks. I mean, you can YouTube some things they call stretch breaks on YouTube. Just getting up, stretching your hip flexors. I mean, just doing like rounding your shoulders, rolling your shoulders in your desk as well too. Most places have stairs they can actually walk up. Most people have garages they can actually walk.
What are stairs?
So stairs like in the actual hallway, like where they say exit fire. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So just walking up those stairs,
Okay.
Flights.
So you got to walk them.
You got to walk 'em.
Okay.
If you move, you lose. I tell people all the time, we have to move.
Fair enough. So get up, stretch, walk around the floor.
And water is very important as well too.
Okay, tell us a little bit about staying hydrated.
So hydrated, 80% of your body is water.
Okay.
I think that a lot of people don't lose weight because they don't know the benefits of actually water. 80% of our body is water. So therefore, when we fail to actually drink enough water, our body holds on to it. So we may not be losing a lot of weight only because we're not having enough water. So I tell people, drink more water and your body will actually excrete more. So if we can actually find time, just depending on how much you weigh, I tell people, you weigh 180, just drink that much, half of that of your actual body weight, and you'll be pretty good throughout the entire day.
So if somebody weighs 180, you're recommending 90 ounces of water.
Exactly.
Okay.
The more you work out, the more water you actually need, actually.
So, and if you've got, in this movement aspect, if you truly have adapted that physical activity on a regular basis, you're going to even need greater hydration.
Exactly. The more muscle, the more you move, your body requires more water, basically. Yes.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges that you come across on a daily basis with professionals you work with on why they don't move? They come and say, Scotty, I know I'm supposed to do that, but.
Right. Well, you got to understand people. People are creatures of habit. So what we have to do is find John or find Tom's why. I think if we find a person why, we then will get that person to come to the actual gym or actually do what they need to do. We go to work every day. Why? Because we need to pay bills. We may not like our job, but we need to go to work to pay our bills, feed our family. So if we can actually instill those same qualities and attributes that we actually put into our job, into health, then what happens? We find a reason to actually work out each and every day. Now, people fail to realize that we don't have to work out all day. We just need to find 20, 30 minutes throughout the entire day. Some people watch television all day long. We fail to actually get 30 minutes throughout the entire day. So I hear all kind of excuses. So my thing with my clients is when I sit down with John, or actually Tom, well, my job is saying, John, why did you come into this office today to see me? What's your why? Some people say blood pressure, cholesterol. Some people are just sick of looking at themselves in the mirror. So my job is to say, let's find a way to get there. You know what I mean? Let's find a way, progress is a process. And that's basically what I tell my clients all the time. It's not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon, And I think that if you can actually commit yourself, mentally prepare your mind, and your body will follow, we'll get the results you desire.
So what are some of the challenges that you hear? Is it I'm too old, I'm too out of shape, I don't have time?
Well, I heard a plethora of excuses. I mean, you can go from I don't have time, I got kids, I'm working all day, I'm very tired, But I think if your why is strong enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. I think we have weak whys, and that's why we don't achieve our goals, basically.
So you invest the time up front with your clients to make sure you understand the why, and then based on that why and what you've learned about the clients, then do you design a movement program for them?
Right. Well, you got to understand everybody is different. Everybody's going to come in with posture deviation, weak muscles, tight muscles, imbalances, and stuff like that. So my job as a professional is sit down and have an assessment with John or Tom, basically, and say, hey, you have a weak hip flexor, you have tight protracted show, whatever the case actually may be. Once I actually evaluate this particular person, I then will actually make a program based on what I see.
Okay.
We may have to start at level 1, may start at level 2, level 3, level 4. I don't know your fitness level. So every fitness level will be different based on the person's activity, basically.
Well, that's fantastic. So you truly do take the time, and I guess the counsel would also be anybody that's looking to add movement to their life, to add physical activity to their life, that they need to find somebody like yourself to get them started and get them in the right direction.
Exactly, man. Find a professional that's specialized. That's like me personally. If I'm looking for somebody that's looking for a house, basically, I go to a real estate agent. I go to professionals because that's what they professional. That's what they are a professional in. And I just actually take the time out and actually just do my due diligence, but also work with somebody that's actually knowledgeable as far as that particular professional.
So let's talk a little bit more about the why, but from the concept of how do you help people change their mindsets and their habits? Because I imagine you mentioned that earlier, that
right.
Part of the reasons that people don't is they've gotten out of the habit of doing it. So how do you get people to change that mindset and get in that habit of daily movement, daily activity?
Well, it steps to everything. Every client I have worked with, I'm always sending them through a 30-day boot camp. And what this 30-day boot camp consists of is me and you, basically, you're complying to what I actually say you should actually do. Whether it be communicating with me daily, once a day, saying, hey, Scotty, I completed my workout. I did my 30-minute walk. I may ask you, do you make your bed every day? Some people say no. I say every time you get up, make your bed. So the more you do it, you're creating habits for yourself. And then it's instilled, so it becomes second nature now. But little things is that communication with me daily, making sure that you're always doing what you're supposed to do. Now, if you master those 30 days, then we move forward to actually purchasing more sessions. That's basically with me. I have always, sat down with clients and did a thorough investigation. I want to know your objectives. Once I find out that you have 30 days to prove yourself to me, because I just don't work with anybody. I spent over 15 years in the arena. I just don't want to work with just anyone. So my job is to say, what's your commitment level on 1 through 10? Once you give me a 10, I don't have to keep reiterating this for what we talked about in the past. Hey, you said you was a 10. Let's get to it. So in 30 days, I'll find out a lot about you within 30 days, basically.
So you'll find out in those 30 days if I'm committed to doing what we agreed to, and if I have been, then I've probably established a new habit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Easily.
So our listeners are sitting there and going, this Scotty guy sounds like he knows what the heck he's talking about. I need to sit down with Scotty Lindsay and figure this out. How do they go about doing that? What would be the best way for them to touch you? The
best contact number would be 713-407-8780, and just ask for Scotty.
Give that to me one more time.
713-407-8780.
And where is Forks Place Fitness Center in Houston?
It's off Galleria in San Felipe.
Okay.
In the Galleria area, basically.
So off of San Felipe in the Galleria area, Google it. They'll be able to find you.
That's correct.
So before we wrap up, can you give me a couple of case studies? We worked with this young lady, and she was here and she went to there. Just so people can say, that works for me.
Well, I work with over hundreds of clients, but I got a special story. It was a young lady, man. She was 260 pounds. She was married, got a divorce. When she came to me, she said, hey, I've been watching you for over like 4 months. So some people will watch you for 4 or 5 months before they even approach you about training. She came, she said, I'm just disgusted. My husband left me for somebody else. I'm really trying to get myself in shape. So basically my thing was, what's your why for getting in shape besides your husband? Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for your husband? She's basically, I'm doing it for myself. What's your commitment level as far as 1 through 10? She said a 10. Long story short, this lady gave me everything she had 4 or 5 days a week. Never missed a day as far as communicating with me, from walking to texting. So personally, me, I took a little bit more time on my schedule. We used to jog Memorial Park. So she went from 248 to 148. But then it took some years. It was a slow process, but it was worth it, basically. So when she lost all that weight and got down to 158, it kind of touched my heart, because she made a commitment for 2 years because she wanted to better herself. And she was an example for a lot of people in her situation. She had a lot of friends that were actually overweight as well, too. She was an inspiration for them. They was aspiring to be like her now, because it just takes one person that you're surrounded by to actually spark or ignite that flame within them as well, too. Like I always tell people, you show me 5 of your friends and I'll show you your future. And that's basically who she was. I mean, she was actually an example of what every female should actually be as far as struggling with weight loss and actually want to accomplish anything. But if you put your mind to anything, man, you can accomplish anything, basically.
We've been visiting with Scotty Lindsay, who is the health and fitness specialist at Four Oaks Place Fitness Center. Before we leave, Scotty, give us that phone number one last time.
So that's 713-407-8780.
You're listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Welcome back to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your guest host, John Bramblett, and today we're talking about move, learn, and care. We just had a great conversation with Scotty Lindsay about the benefits of movement and moving. So now we're going to move over to learn. At the beginning of the show, we had a chance to visit with Tom Carpentier, president of Stewart Insurance, and Tom has come back to speak specifically with us about learn. So welcome back to the show.
Great to be back again.
So when we were talking earlier and you were providing the context for us of this idea of move, learn, and care, you had mentioned a guiding principle that Stewart Insurance has. And let's kind of maybe begin the discussion on learning around that guiding principle. I believe it's guiding principle number 2.
It is guiding principle number 2, which is evolve through life learning. When we put together our guiding principles, we wanted to develop some things that people could really reflect on to help them be successful not only in their career with us, but also in their general lives. And we really believe in deliberate learning, evolving through life learning. Kind of like Scotty was talking about, you have to develop habits, right? And one of my habits is when we make the bed in the morning, I put whatever book I'm reading on the pillow. That way I know before I go to bed, it's right there in front of me, and I open it up and we'll read a few pages. Sometimes it's chapters, sometimes it's pages, but at the end of the day, it's there staring me in the face. It's it's a habit that I've kind of stacked on top of other habits that's there visible for me to engage in some reading each night. But it's become habitual for me, and ultimately I learned a long time ago that through life and through my professional experiences that my view through my lens is important, but others' views and ideas are valuable beyond words. And to me, that's part of learning is getting different perspectives, as I said in the earlier segment. And active learning enables me to gain different perspectives, because if I'm going to operate just on my experiences or what I see through my lens, I'm not going to be a good leader, and I'm not going to be able to build a company that's successful in my mind. So,
we're visiting with Tom Carpentier, president of Stewart Insurance, and we're discussing the idea of learn as part of the concept of move, learn, and care. What was kind of the trigger in your life? Have you always been this active learner, or what was the catalyst that got you down this path?
I had parents that were, active learners, folks that, really, instilled, traits in us, me and my siblings that, there is different perspectives, and you should always engage in learning. So, maybe not as direct as that, but I think just through the way they live their lives. My dad was a very successful businessman, and I was able to observe him and how he was active in listening and constantly researching and looking for different ways to improve his approach. But really, it's with age, I just learned that I want to be proactive in my development and not be reactive to just things that come up, right? So, I kind of developed some keys that I thought were important for me, and number one is just active listening, right? As a younger person, just trying to go 100 miles an hour, moving from one meeting to the next, I was never really present, or wasn't present in the moment enough, right? And I think that if we really stop and we focus on being in that moment, we'll be really amazed at how much we learn from every engagement. Just sitting here listening, to Scotty and really hearing the things he has to say. It's given me some perspective and things that I can incorporate into my life from the move aspect or the physical side. So, that's big for me, is just really engaging in active listening, really listening to what people have to say, and you'll be surprised how much you learn on a daily basis. I try to actively learn about history. I think that history is important. Understanding the past can help shape, the direction we go in, right? And then, constantly seeking others' viewpoints on topics of areas that maybe I'm interested in, right? If it's again, using the example with Scotty, if it's somebody, a professional like that, if I'm wanting to understand more how to get my body in shape to take on the day's challenges, seek people like that are experts and just be active in that side of it. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to be a leader that makes a difference, that helps people within our organization to maximize, their opportunities and their talents. And in order to do that, as a leader, you've got to continue to evolve. And one of the biggest ways to evolve is to evolve through learning. So, and just kind of keeping the perspective that we don't have all the answers. But if we keep learning, right, we're going to be equipped to succeed and help others better than if we're not active in learning. And so it's a journey that I think is fulfilling. Getting the mind going and learning is as important as the physical side. So, and then if all that happens, then we equip ourselves, and then we can certainly give back, and that flows into the care aspect.
So early on in the show today, you were speaking about this idea of, as you built and your team built the culture at Stewart Insurance, that you looked at a variety of things that led to somebody being successful regardless of that definition. Can you tell us what you've, specifically in the area of learning, but as you've studied successful people and successful organizations, have they all resonated? This idea of learning has been a critical element for them as well?
Absolutely, because I think they're all, self-aware enough to know that they don't have all the answers. And there's so much out there, from viewpoints to written information, that you can learn from. And I think most of them realize that what I've seen, successful people understand that even as you're evolving and you're learning, your perspective on things is your perspective, and we always need to take into account others' viewpoints. I think we all could learn from that, and it would make the world a better place.
We're visiting with Tom Carpentier, president of Stewart Insurance, and discussing the importance of learn as we move through this idea of move, learn, and care. I did want to talk a little bit about how you go about this, because one of the challenges we talked about this with Scotty a bit, about the challenges that you come across in people as you counsel them on this idea of deliberate learning, whether it be a friend or a member of the family or an associate at Stewart Insurance. What are because there's so many media vehicles out there now. There's podcasts and there's radio shows like Real Estate Matters. There's books, magazines. How do you help people get started? Because sometimes that's the biggest obstacle, is just taking that first step forward.
Well, the first thing is finding time to learn, right? So one of the first things I do is recommend a book. It's the 15 Secrets of Successful People, and it's a book by a gentleman by the name of Kevin Kruse. And I'm not a big self-help book kind of guy, but I believe there's information out there, and every book has nuggets of information. But having said that, that book really has some very practical things in it that you can incorporate into your day: how to effectively manage email, how to say no, how to create a plan for your day that's going to open up opportunity for you to do the things like get some physical activity, like find time to learn, like spend some quality time with your family. So the first thing I do is, try to learn some things about time management and managing your day, because I see it time and time again. People are so stressed out, and their hair's on fire, and they get to the end of the day and they say, I don't have time for everything. I don't even know what I've accomplished. When you get a hold of building a plan for your day, you'd be surprised how you end the day and you're like, wow, I accomplished a lot, and my stress level is way down because when you plan effectively, you have a plan and you go by that plan, and you're not trying to figure out what's next. And you'd be surprised how that stress level goes down when you can enter a day knowing exactly what you're going to do. Now, are there aberrations to the day that may get you sidetracked? Especially if you lead an organization, there's going to be things. But the thing is once you get derailed, you have that plan to get back on. So the first thing I talk to people about is learn how to establish a plan for the day, so you can account for all your time, and then you'll be surprised how much more time you'll have to do creative things like learning or deeper thought about your strategies in terms of where you want to go personally, professionally, or things along those lines. So
the first learning that we've learned today in discussing learning is schedule it. So you're going to schedule a time to improve your mind.
Absolutely. And you got to give yourself little hints. Like I said, I put that book on the pillow. So it's a reminder that I'm going to read, right? And if that book's not on the pillow, I'm probably just going to put my head on the pillow and go to sleep, or turn on the TV and watch TV, right? So you got to give yourself some reminders or schedule time. They say for something to get done, it's either you got to write it down or identify the time and location. And one of the things that Scotty talked about on the movement, the fitness aspect, it could be as something as simple as a walk every morning. So I'm assuming that your scheduled learning time could be 10 or 15 minutes. Absolutely.
It could be 3 hours, but it could also be 10 or 15 minutes. It's just a matter of having that, as you call it, habit stacking, that repetitive, that every day I'm going to do something to feed my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how busy your schedule is, what you've got going on, but there's always time that can very easily be wasted. And if you kind of look at that and see how much time you could have applied to something like physical activity or like learning, there's pockets of time. We just have to find it, right? And it starts with the first thing in learning is how to plan your day and commit to that and be disciplined. Discipline is hard. It's hard. I mean, it took me a long time to figure, and I'm not perfect, but boy, I tell you what, now that I've learned to be more disciplined in the planning of my day and arranging it, and not being reactive and being proactive, I mean, the stress level is way down. That's my nugget for today in terms of this learning segment.
Well, and doesn't Hughes make a point in his book about 1440, that there's 1,440 minutes in every day?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody has 1440. The President of the United States has 1440. John Bramblett, insurance advisor, has 1440. So we all have the same amount of minutes in a day. It's just a matter of how we schedule it. So first thing to learn is to learn to schedule your time to learn.
Plan out your day and schedule, yep.
Plan out your day. And then the second thing is study some discipline.
Yeah.
So, and as we wrap up the segment, do you study all different kinds of things? I know you love business, and business is your passion. And I know that you study insurance to make sure that our clients are properly insured. But do you study all different kinds of things? Is it just solely business?
I study a lot about business, but I read a lot of history. I'm very interested in history. On the physical side of it, I'm very interested in sports and read historical things about sports and successful people in sports. I'm personally into fitness myself, so I'm always reading about things that I can do to maximize my performance. And get my body in better shape to take on the challenges of the day. So yeah, I mean, it's there's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's just at different times I've got different interests, or something's, I meet somebody and they spark my interest about something. But it probably wasn't a very clear answer, but it's more than anything, it is about leadership. I do study probably things on leadership because people are always changing, and we're changing, and I've got to find a way to really connect with our folks in our business, so we're not disconnected, and we can really be part of a cohesive team and really move the organization forward.
We've been visiting with Tom Carpentier, president of Stewart Insurance, talking about the learn aspect of move, learn, and care. And when we come back, we'll be visiting with Jay Shaw about care.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your guest host today, John Bramblett with Stewart Insurance, and we're wrapping up our discussions about move, learn, and care. And today we're being joined by Jay Shaw. Jay is the broker-owner of Shaw Real Estate and Watertight Property Management in Pearland, Texas. Thanks for being a part of Real Estate Matters, Jay.
Thanks, John.
Always a pleasure to have Jay with us. We've been had the good fortune of having Jay on the show previously. I don't think it was we're on show 380, so it might have been in the high 200s when you were on last, or maybe the low 300s. But it's glad to have you back. One of the things that I've known about Jay, and we've known each other and been friends for several years, is that Jay, both individually and professionally, has always given back, that he's always truly demonstrated his care for a fellow man. So you've made that commitment to care by being involved and giving back in the community. Why is that important, not only to you, but to Shaw Real Estate?
Well, it's funny you ask, because when I heard of the 3 themes and you asked me about this radio show, I thought, oh, yeah, he's going to have me come on and talk about move, because I was in the Marine Corps and I did a Murph workout recently. And then I get here and I see Scotty's arms. I'm like, oh, okay, no, he's the move expert, not me. But in thinking about the care piece, it's an honor. I haven't really seen myself as that type of person. And so it got me thinking. And my jumping off point for that would be the veteran space. And I have to start there, and I have to give credit to one of my mentors, Rod Long, who he founded the Warrior Benefit. And what the Warrior Benefit does is it raises money and then donates it to charities that are doing good things for veterans. And his brilliance was creating an advisory board that was comprised of all Purple Heart recipients. So that right there was an opportunity provided to us, I believe there was 14 of us, to give back through other people's philanthropy. We didn't have a lot of money coming out of the Marine Corps or other branches of service. We were all still transitioning, and we were dealing with our own struggles, but having the fulfillment of being able to give back, and not just in a small way, but in a rather large, for us, way, and it was fun. We held an annual sporting clay tournament. So I got to get involved in a new sport, sporting clays, which I love, and made a whole bunch of friends and a great network out of that. So that's a great introduction to philanthropy, is when you can have fun, meet people, grow like a core group of friends who are like-minded, and then see the product of that. When we would give the money to organizations, then they would come and give us updates on what that money was able to go and accomplish. So it was a multiplier of sorts, and that can get really exciting and fulfilling.
We're listening or visiting with Jay Shaw of Shaw Real Estate and Watertight Property Management. We're talking about the aspect of care in our show theme today of Move, Learn, and Care. Jay, you talked about something in that last answer that I thought was really interesting. You mentioned the idea of when y'all started and were part of the Warrior Benefit, that a lot of the guys didn't have a lot of resources, but they did have time and they did have talent. So if you could talk a little bit about, you don't necessarily have to have a big bank account to truly demonstrate you're caring for others, that you can do so with time and talent.
Absolutely. Case in point, a gentleman I've known for many years, Marine veteran, he had seen me and some of my buddies doing some of these philanthropic efforts, and he came to me very recently and he said, back then I didn't feel like I could do anything, and now I have this band and we're going to put on a rock concert and I want it to benefit veterans. Are you in? And I'm like, absolutely. So on July 3rd, there's going to be this rock band, and that Shaw Real Estate gets to put on and Warrior Benefit gets to benefit from. So it's not about, oh, I have extra money, where do I give it away to? I've always held a special place in my heart for the volunteers who show up to events to support, because quite frankly, sometimes it can be a lot easier to stroke a check, easier than it is to show up on a Saturday morning at the crack of dawn and set up for a 5K run, or stand out in the hot sun and take check-ins for golf carts at a tournament. Those kind of volunteer efforts anyone can do and can be really fulfilling, and they're absolutely necessary for any charitable event to be a success.
So you talked about this idea of that it can be just your time and your talent as well as your resources, and that your friend came to you and said, hey, I think this is a way that we can help. How do you go about determining where you invest your time and talent? What counsel would you provide our listeners in determining if they wanted to find, if they decided, yes, I'm going to demonstrate my care, I'm going to get out there and do something, what would be the counsel you would provide them on selecting a group to begin with?
I think it's very similar to selecting your career and your hobbies. You start close and you start at what you either have an aptitude for or some resources within. And if you don't have to look at it strictly from the nonprofit space. As we know, over the last year or so, a lot of events have been canceled or impossible to hold. But what I've found is looking into my company and into my staff and agents and looking at, well, what do they need? Because as a leader of my company, that's where I have to start. So I would say starting with your family, your company, your extended family, people who you have things in common with, and starting there and looking at how can I be more caring, and I say there's no such thing as too much appreciation. There's a massive shortage in our world and society of appreciation and respect. If you can start there within your own current sphere of influence, working on your respect muscles and your appreciation muscles, that's going to do wonders for you, your family, your career, and then, waves will emanate out. And so again, going back to your question, it's not about having extra money to donate somewhere, and nobody thinks they have extra time. Right? Yes. You just have to find a way.
We're visiting with Jay Shaw, the broker-owner of Shaw Real Estate and Watertight Property Management, on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. And we're talking about this idea of demonstrating care. So when we were visiting with Tom and talking about learning, and we were visiting with Scotty and talking about movement, with both gentlemen, we addressed this idea of that you come up with excuses. You come up with reasons. And, I'm sure that it's the reasons and excuses are the same for everything. I don't have time. I don't know where to go. I don't know anybody. What would be your counsel to folks because you talked about starting close to home, starting with something that you know or have an attribute for. How would you counsel somebody on getting over those self-imposed reasons why you can't, so you do get involved?
So getting involved in things that are fun is a big help. Might seem a little selfish, but quite frankly, if you're good at something and you enjoy doing it, you're going to be a bigger help to that activity than if you're forcing yourself to do it. Mm-hmm. Again, my mentor, Rod Long, he says, look, do it from the heart. Don't do it for a tax write-off or just because you feel like you have to. And that's been a big one for me, because as much as I like to have my company name on a big check and take a picture, photo op of giving I realize that my donation is minuscule compared to others' donations and others' giving of their time. It's also minuscule in the scope of the problem that you're trying to solve. But every drop in the bucket helps.
So share with us, what are some of the tangible and intangible benefits of caring and actively demonstrating care for others?
Well, there are many tangible and intangible benefits. I mean, I have to start with the fulfillment that can come from helping other people that obviously transcends business goals and material goals. And if you haven't felt that, that's got to be the starting point, is looking for opportunities to give back and to see the fruits of your efforts helping people. Outside of that, well, there's so many benefits. I mean, we know that there's cross-pollination and cross-marketing benefits. So if you're a business person starting out in real estate or any other business, doing some work, some putting in some time and putting some money towards some caring type aspects, that's where you're going to get, honestly, you're going to get some very powerful multipliers there. You're going to get, so the Pearland Chamber of Commerce, that's not a charitable organization, but for a small membership fee, they gave so much to me. They obviously care so much, and it's been such a multiplier in my business that now I'm inspired, and I'm like, wow, I want to get involved in that organization. So if somebody has inspired you, an organization, a company, or a person, well, that's a good starting point. Go for that.
We're visiting with Jay Shaw of Shaw Real Estate and Watertight Property Management. Before we wrap up, if our listeners are saying, I align with Jay's values, I can understand where Jay's coming from, and they'd like some help buying a home, or they'd like some help selling a home, or they've got some property that they need somebody to help them take care of, how can they get a hold of you, Jay?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So you can find us at shawrealestate.com or Shaw Real Estate on Facebook and Instagram. And then you can call me directly at 281-546-9237. I'd also like to mention we have just moved into a new office space, and I'm really excited about it. Not only is it a real estate office where you can come and get a free cup of coffee, maybe even some cookies if they're laying around, but we've reached out to some friends from my art school days, and it's a working art gallery. So you can come there and tour some really nice artwork by local professional artists.
When I was there last week, there was an artist. There was some guy named Jason Shaw that had some art, and I didn't get a chance to meet him, but his stuff was pretty good too. So if you visit Jay in Pearland, be sure to look for
finger painting.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah. Look for the work by Jason Shaw. So you've been listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. We've been fortunate enough today to visit with Scotty Lindsay, Tom Carpentier, and Jay Shaw about this idea of move, learn, and care. We hope that this has been an interesting and educational show for our lovely guests at Real Estate Matters. As I said before, Bill Napick will be back next week to continue on our hosting. The next week will be show number 381. If you'd like to listen to previous shows, you can always visit stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. So again, my name is John Bramblett. Thank you for listening to Stewart Title's Real Estate Matters. Have a great day.